Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Knowledge Portal video series. And in today's lecture we will be speaking about block versus object storage. So let's get started and have a high level overview regarding the difference between them. Now in very simple terms, in block storage the data is stored in terms of blocks. So let's assume that this is a storage device, for example a hard disk drive, and in terms of block storage, what happens is whenever you install a file system like NTFS or ext3 or ext4, then the file system will actually divide the storage in terms of blocks. So what really happens is the blocks are created. So you see the blocks are getting created, and once the block is created, then the storage is stored in terms of blocks. So I'll show you one of the examples. Let me just log in to one of my server. So this is the server, and if you run the command, it will basically show you on what is the block size of a device which is dev SDA. So if you do a lsblk, I have two devices over here. One is the SDA, which is of size 25 GB, and second is SDB, which is a swap partition. So in this SDA, I have, let me show you. So I have a ext4 based file system, and when you do a block dev, it will show you the block size of this specific storage device. So going back to the PPT, so this file system is divided in terms of 4096 based blocks. So if you have a data of, let's assume 8096 or 8 KB, then you will have two blocks which will be allocated. If you have a 12 KB of data, then there will be 3 blocks which will be allocated. So it all works based on blocks. Now, one more important thing to remember is that data stored in blocks are normally read or written entirely a whole block at the same time. And most of the file systems that we speak about, like for USB or for Windows, we have NTFS or FAT. For Linux, we have ext4 or XFS. Those file systems all are based on block storage. Now, when we speak about block storage, every block has a specific address, and application can call those specific blocks via a SCSI call via the block address. Now, one more important thing to remember is that there is no storage side metadata associated with a block except the address. So if there is an object or there is a file, let's assume there is a image file which is being stored, there is no metadata. Like just by looking at the block, I cannot determine like what is the file being stored over here. So that is called as the metadata. And it does not also have a description or a owner. So we'll look into what I really mean by a metadata when we talk about object storage. So in an object storage, it is a data storage architecture where the message or where the data is stored as object as opposed to a block of storage. So there are no blocks of data which is being divided. So even if you have, let's assume you have a 10 MB of data, it will be directly stored as an object. There are no blocks which are being present in an object storage. One and a very important point to remember here, that object is defined as a file which is a data along with all of its metadata which is combined together as a specific object. So let me show you this. AWS S3 is type of a object based store. So when I go to AWS S3 and let's open up any bucket. So I have a file which is .png file over here, and if I'll click over here, within the properties you find that there is a metadata which is attached over here. So let's click here, and it will show you what is the type of metadata, which is content type, which is image.png. So this metadata basically tells on what exactly the object is all about, whether it is a text file or it is a song or a MP3 file or it is a image file. So this is the metadata which S3 automatically puts when you upload a file. You can also create a custom metadata according to your requirement. So this is also possible. And this is the major difference. So this is what this basically means. What we call as an object in S3 is not only a file, but it is also the metadata which is connected with the specific file. So this file along with all the metadata together creates an object. So that is the second point. And the object ID, which is basically a unique ID associated, will be the combination of the content of the object as well as the metadata. So we'll be looking into this whenever the right time comes, otherwise it will become much complicated. So difference between block storage and object storage, one of the very famous difference I can tell is that object storage can be called via API. So you see, you have a HTTPS based interface. So you can call the object. So if this was a text file, you could actually open this up in the browser via HTTPS. You will see you are actually able to open this up from the browser itself. However, you cannot really do that directly with a block storage. So that is one of the major difference within the object storage as well as the block storage. Now, object storage are not as fast as block storage, but it does have its own importance in the industry. So we will be speaking in more about the object and the block storage whenever right time comes, but this is a basic high level overview of objects and block storage. So this is it about this lecture. I hope you got a very high level overview about both of them. And if you have any doubts, suggestions, questions, feel free to connect us at Twitter, Facebook or LinkedIn, or mail us at instructors@kplabs.in. Thanks for watching.